Welcome back to the Sonic Locker Room. This is Bill Althouse of Sideliner Sports, and we're celebrating our 18th year, bringing you the best and the brightest from Eastern Jackson County and the metro area. And I have been looking forward to this program. I've known Alex Duvall since he was about 14 years old. Not only a great coach and mentor for members of the Blue Springs High School baseball team, but a young man who cares as much about the individual as he does the player. And it was recently announced that Alex will be replacing Tim McGilligan as the next head baseball coach at Blue Springs High School. Alex, I've talked to so many folks about you replacing Tim, and it's just created a buzz and excitement. We all love Tim. I tell you what, a couple of years ago, he got that elusive state championship. I'll never forget that championship game as long as I live. What a crazy affair. And now, this year, you're an assistant. You're working with the pitchers. This is Tim's last year. Next year, you're calling the shots. When you found out that you got the job, has it really sunk in yet?
No, not yet. And I'm sure it won't until the first game next year. Mm-hmm. But, you know, ever since when I played here, Tim was our assistant coach. And so I played for Tim, and he's been the head coach ever since I've been coaching. So it'll be my first ever high school baseball experience without him in some capacity. So that'll be weird. But I'm sure it won't set in until the moment we get there.
We visited several times over the last couple of weeks, and I love the story where you're in college, you're not digging your major, and you give Tim a call, and it just changed everything.
Yeah, he was, instrumental in convincing me how great of a career the education is. I called him, and I'd only made it like 3 months in college, and I called him. I'm like, dude, I can't do this. Mm-hmm. He's like, well, let's get lunch. And so we went to lunch and talked for probably 2 hours about, teaching, because, every 19-year-old baseball player thinks coaching would be fun. That was never the question. But he sold me on the relationships you build in education and the career that teaching offered. And, my mom was a teacher, and so I've been around teachers for my entire life, but Tim really sold me on what it could be, when you put your work in and do things the right way. And I'll never be able to think of enough for convincing me that was the path that, I needed to be taking my life down.
When you made that call, could you ever in your wildest dreams see a point in the future where you'd be replacing him as the head coach at Blue Springs High School?
No, not at the time. No, there was no way I could have ever imagined that. And it's you talk about a full circle moment. Tim's done so much for me in my playing career and my coaching career that, getting to fill his shoes, it'll be tough. There's some big shoes to fill there, but the rewarding piece of it, knowing that he's the guy that I get to follow, is legitimately so cool.
And I've talked to Tim several times over the past couple of weeks, and, a lot of great guys applied for the head coaching job. And, he's thrilled that you're going to be his replacement, and much like my thoughts, he talked about Alex Duvall, the man, over Alex Duvall, the coach. And, I remember covering you in high school thinking this kid's going to be successful, because you were like a man when you were 14, 15, 16 years old. Where does that come from, that maturity, that leadership, that essence that not every athlete, coach, or administrator has?
I think, my parents are amazing human beings that my entire life have prioritized, the way that we treat people and the way that we serve others. But, a lot of that is faith driven as well. My faith means a lot to me. And, I legitimately believe that, everybody could take something away from the servanthood that comes with, being a follower of Jesus Christ. And, between the model and the examples that my parents set for me and the example that, Christ sets for us, I think it's just, it makes me feel better as a person treating people better, right? Like I don't get any satisfaction from not being that way. So, between my parents and all the coaches I've had in my life and my faith, I think it's just, a culmination of people showing me what the right thing to do is, the right way to treat people, and watching them enjoy their lives and enjoy their successes has made it obvious that there's something to this.
Tell us a little bit about your charity.
Yeah, so we started that in July of 2024, just again as a continuation of that faith. It was just felt like we were being called to more, felt like we were being called to use the gifts that we've been given to serve others. And, it's been one of the joys of my life getting to do that with my family. And my son loves it. He's 4 and he absolutely loves, spending time in the kitchen with dad, cooking for whoever. And so, that's something that, we have a great time with, and we love serving food whenever we can, but just it's an extension of the faith, right? It's an extension of the faith that we have in Christ, that, we can't save ourselves, but we can serve others. And, that's the biggest piece of it.
When you walk into the youth room at Church of the Resurrection out in Blue Springs, you're like a magnet, and all the kids are metal. They're just drawn to you. When I see you at practices, before or after a Blue Springs High School baseball game, it's the same way. You're just a people person. You're a guy who adults feel comfortable around, but more importantly, whether they be students at church or the athletes or the kids in your classroom, like you just alluded to, you just treat people right. How special is it to deal with kids, and especially like maybe over a 4-year period where you see them grow not only as athletes on the baseball field, but develop from students into young men and women?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's been, one of the joys of my life getting to see that process take hold. And, the coolest thing about that team that won the state championship in 24, I mean, yeah, winning it was cool, but we had a lot of those kids on the varsity team when they were freshmen, and a bunch more their sophomore year. And so, winning was cool, but watching that specific group of kids who made a decision together to hold each other accountable, to buy in, to watch them grow as men and not just as players. I mean, that's the best part of it. That's the best part of the job. Is it, I have classes where I have sophomores, and then I get them again as juniors, and then some of them come back and take electives as seniors. And, watching people develop into the man or the woman they're going to be is equally as rewarding, or if not more, than watching them develop as athletes. And, maybe they're in the band, or maybe they're on the soccer team, but it's cool. And I think that's the best part of what a high school provides, is that you get these kids in like some of the most important years of their maturation, right? And you get to watch them grow and become the people they're going to be. And it's so cool. It is legitimately so cool to watch.
Alex Duvall, you're such a special guy in my life and Stacy's life, and I can't wait to visit with you after your first game next year, man. That's going to be very, very special. Wish you continued success and the team's success this year, and buddy, you're always welcome here in the Sonic locker room.
Bill, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for having me.